What you are about to see is the brief story of five brave men from Norton who served their country with honor and distinction. Through their personal generosity, they have agreed to share answers to some of the most important questions any serviceman or servicewoman could ever be asked. These men stand as local examples of the countless numbers of brave men and women who have answered the call of duty when asked. These men are your neighbors and longtime members of the Norton community, and you might walk by them in town on any given day. These men have all served our nation with honor, and we honor them here today. Please remember their stories as we all celebrate Memorial Day this weekend.
The war started, and I was raised by a World War II veteran, and most of his friends I knew as a little boy were all veterans. So I figured, oh man, I want to do that. I want to go and, go to an adventurous war, and I want to serve my country. And so I did. I wasn't doing that great in school. So I figured, well, maybe I'm not ready for this now. I'll go and I'll join the Marines and do my part. And
I joined the military because I had three options after high school. Either going to college, going out to the workforce, or I was going to be drafted. So I decided to join and go 4 years into the Air Force.
I joined in '64. And I joined because I knew that I would be drafted. I had already graduated high school. I had a full-time job. I was working the career that I had set out for. I went to culinary school, and I was working as a chef. And I joined because it was right in the middle of the Vietnam War, and I knew I would be drafted. And like my counterparts that were in Vietnam, which you saw today with 2 Marines and 1 Army, I didn't want to have my boots on the ground pounding that dirt every day, so I joined the United States Air Force because I thought I would be the safer. But Lord and behold, I didn't know I was going to go to Vietnam being in the Air Force, but I did. But that's why I joined.
hardest part was when I got wounded, and my friend that was with me, he got killed. And he stepped on a mine, and I was like 4 feet from him. And I got blown about 20 feet in the air. Very sad, and it was something that'll be with me the rest of my life.
The hardest part? Probably being away from your friends and loved ones. But the military experience overall is something a lot more people should probably experience, just for the training, not only physical but mental, and the fact that you earn discipline and you don't counteract, you don't talk back, you do what you're told.
Hardest part about being in the military?
Yes.
Leaving your loved ones, going away, not knowing whether you're going to come home.
Spot, meet new friends, and I met quite a few. We were like brothers, very close, and we watched out for one another, and I mean close.
I think the camaraderie that you grow when you meet a lot of different people from different walks of life, that they don't live like you do out in the Midwest and in the deep South, but they're all people. You build a camaraderie. You rely on that person. He's got your back, and you'd better have his because he's relying on you.
That's part, serving with patriotic men and women that were of all races and creeds, and it was always mission first, and it was a good experience for me.
Best part about being in the military? Military in general, overall, like all my other comrades said, meeting new people, friendship, making friends that you still see continuous to this day. I had a roommate that went from Thailand to Vietnam with me. Or I shouldn't say a roommate, but somebody in my squadron. And from Vietnam, we both came home together, and I still see him to this day. He lives out in Otis, Mass, in the Berkshires. And we still get together to this day. So it's friendship.
Well, when I arrived in country in Vietnam, I was 17 years old, so I volunteered. And when I got in country and saw, we were getting shot at and rockets, and made a man out of me overnight. And I turned 18 when I got there. But it did. Made a man out of me overnight.
You grow up in the military, and you see different things, how different people are, different countries, and especially me, where I was overseas and went to several countries while I was over there.
Oh boy, that's a tough one. I learned a lot about growing up, because when I was out of school and working my first job, I could have cared less. I was footloose and fancy free, and I did whatever I wanted when I wanted, and you get in the military, it changes. You don't just have the opportunities to run around and do whatever you want on any given day.
But the main thing that people have the misconception of, we lost that war, and it was, to me, it was all about our way of life against communism. And so I look at it as the time that we spent in Vietnam that everybody thought was a waste of time, a waste of war. It actually helped in the Cold War later on. That brought the Russian communists to cease to exist.
Well, I believe probably everything that I know about Vietnam, they couldn't write in a history book, because they banned that book in Boston. I had some good times in Vietnam, and then I had some bad times. What people read in the history books is definitely, probably far from the truth of what really happened over there.
Probably once, maybe twice a month, someone will see the license plate on my truck that shows I have a Bronze Star, and they'll come up and shake my hand and say, "Thanks for your service," which when you're in the middle of a parking lot at Stop and Shop or someplace, it kind of catches you off guard. But I always thank them. What more can you do?
It's a noble experience. It's something that you're doing. You're paying back your country. I think that's a good experience. Patriotism is something that shouldn't die. Shouldn't be all about you. What's in it for me? No, that's the best thing I got out of it.
Military life isn't for everybody. It's tough. It's tough, and like I say, being away from your loved ones and everything, especially around the holiday seasons, it gets tough. Going off to war, I'm doing what my country asked me to do.
Yeah, get your education first. If you do join, you can get education there. You don't get these big student loans. You can get it pretty cheap. But get your education first.
Service is an excellent place to go for the younger ones coming up, especially if they don't intend to go to college or out in the workforce, if they don't know what they're going to do when they graduate from high school, a good thing to do is join the service, because you can learn plenty and get an education in the service also. They will pay for your education a lot better than they did when I did in the 50s. But it's good, very good.